Hello, I hope this video finds you well. This is our third video in our piano scale generator program. And, for those of you that might have joined in now, just maybe you can go back to the first video. But what this does is we pick our major or minor scale, pick our key, and we hit submit, and it maps out the keys for us. So I was given a background that I play guitar, I'm learning piano, and I thought what a great opportunity to kind of develop a tool to help me better understand the scales and share that knowledge with someone else. All right, so if we come over to here, we've done our first two stages where we built the front end and we put the canvas in. We bound the function calculate to the button so it does something, and then in this video we're going to generate the results. And for this you're going to need some musical theory. So I'm going to take a stab at teaching you enough musical theory to understand the logic. But again, the bigger idea here I talk about in class is if you were working for someone who's a musician and you were making this for them, you have to get enough information such that you can do what they want, but not get bogged down in the details. So you have to understand enough about scale construction so that you can code it, but you don't need to understand why scales are constructed this way. I think you should go and learn because it's a lot of fun, but for the sake of this project, you just have to understand how they're constructed. So here's my attempt at some musical theory. There are 12 notes in the musical alphabet. And we can see those if we tell an example right here. We have A through G sharp, and there aren't sharps at every spot. So there's no sharp between B and C, and there's no sharp between E and F. If we count these, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And when I hit G sharp, I start again at A. All right, next piece of knowledge you need to know. A whole step musically is when we move up two notes. So if I'm at, for example, if I come back in here and I'm at an A and I move a whole step, that's going to be 1, 2. That takes me to a B. A whole step, 1, 2, takes me to a C sharp. A half step is moving one note up. So if I come back here and I start at this A, a half step goes to A sharp, B, C sharp. So a half step is moving one note up in the scale. And so what happens is we have this algorithm for generating major scales. So to generate a scale, we start at the root note, which is the note that we've selected. So if I, for example, generate a scale in the key of C, I'm going to start at the root note, which is a C note. And to generate the major scale, we do a whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. And so come on down here with me and let's look at an example. So if I'm going to generate a C major scale, I want to figure out the notes that make up the C major scale. I'm going to start at C, so I'm going to put an X in there, and you'll notice that I've listed all of the actual notes from C to C because a scale is going to go one octave from C to C. And the first thing I'm going to do is we see a whole step, so I'm going to count two notes, 1, 2. So the next note in the C major scale is a D. And I do another whole step, 1, 2. The next note is an E, and then I do a half step, and a half step is going to take me one note to an F. Keep putting a dot in there, there it is. Then I'm going to do a whole step, so I'm going to go two notes, 1, 2, to a G. I'm going to do a whole step to an A, a whole step to a B, and then a half step, keep putting a dot in there, to a C. There it is. And so therefore I know that a C major scale is going to be C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. And it's a really nice scale, and a lot of people start with the C major scale because there's no sharps or flats in it. I'm only talking about sharps in this. All right, and there you go. And we can see that. So we see a whole step, C to D, a whole step, D to E, a half step, E to F, a whole step, F to G, a whole step, G to A whole step, A to B, and a whole step, B to C. A minor scale, that should not say major, that should say minor scale. A minor scale has the formula whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step, whole step, half step, whole step, whole step. So let's do this. Now you'll notice I've written out from A to A in the musical alphabet because this is in the key of A. And I've picked A minor specifically for a reason here. So I'm going to go start at A, so that's my first note in the scale. I'm going to go a whole step that will take me to B. I'm going to go a half step, which will take me to C. I'm going to go a half step, which is going to take me to, sorry, I'm going to go a whole step. So I go a whole step, a half step, a whole step, 1, 2, take me to D, a whole step, that takes me to E, a half step, that takes me to F, keeps auto-completing these periods in here for me, X. I'm going to go a whole step, that will take me to G, and a whole step that will take me to A. And we see, therefore, that a minor scale is A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then an A. Now, you might say, wait, these are the same, and that's true, and there's all sorts of wonderful musical theory that's wonderful to get into, but we don't need to for the sake of this. You just have to understand how this is constructed. All right, so let's do this now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to select piano scale 2. I'm going to select everything. I'm going to copy it. I'm going to paste it in here for piano scale 3. There it is. I'm going to save this, and now I'm just going to quickly pull it up. Piano scale product. There it is. So let's drag this in. And there you go. So right now it's exactly the same as piano scale 2. So the first thing I'm going to do, and the way I'm going to approach this, is I'm going to make a list of notes, and I'm going to duplicate it twice. Because remember, this idea was that if we come back to the theory that I was talking about, is if I can find it, is the theory here is if I start on my root note, I can then just count it out. So from my root note, this is 2 steps and another 2 steps. So the difference from here to here is, let me just enter. So the difference is we have 2 steps to get to there, and then we have here, we have another 2 steps, and then here we have 1 step, we have 2 steps, we have 2 steps, we have 2 steps, and we have 1 step. So from the root note, the D is a total of 2 steps. The E is a total of 4 steps. 1, 2, 3, 4. The F is a total of 5 steps. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually use the indexes in this list to do this. And the reason why I've written the musical alphabet twice here is because, you know, if I start on an F, I'm going to go off to the end. All right, so let's do this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to assume initially that we're going to do a major scale. I'm going to calculate the major scale. And then if it happens to be that I want to do the minor scale, I'm going to overwrite this. So I'm going to make a list, and I'm going to call it results. And results is going to be notes. We're going to first put the root note in there. Notes at n type, because remember we access the note in n type. And let's just save this, and let's just go console.log result. So let's save this. Let's reload this. We'll pull up our, right, and right now if I pick B and I hit submit, there you go, I got a B as my first root note. If I pick E, I hit submit, E. If I pick G and I hit submit, I get G. So now I want to get the second note. So how do I get the second note? Well, let's take that C. I'm going to go from this index and I'm going to add 2 to it. So the next note is going to be notes, because that holds all the notes to me. And I'm going to say n type plus 2. And I'm going to save this, and I'm going to run this. And you might have already caught there's a little problem here. I get A and then I get undefined. And so you're like, okay, why is that? Well, remember, indexes have to be integers. But when I capture these values, this n-type value, it's actually a string. So it's actually adding together strings, because remember up here in my list, these are all string values. They're not integers. So what I have to do is I have to change the type. And so I'm going to cast it. So I'm going to say var n-type, or I'm just going to say n-type, I don't have to rename it. N-type equals, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to say parse int n-type. So this is a process called casting. And casting is changing of type. So we're changing the string n-type into an int n-type. And again, from a computer, for us, 1 and 1, those are the same thing, but to a computer, 1 in quotes and 1 are very different and get treated differently. And because n-type is being captured as a string, when I try and use that as an index, I get a problem. So if I save this now, and I reload this, and I pick the key of C, and I pick a major scale, I hit submit, C, and there's my next note, D. Okay, let's keep going. So let's go back to the README, and remember how we go 2 steps, 2 steps? So the next note is going to be a total of 4 steps. Okay, so I'm going to come here, and I'm going to say, comma, notes at n type plus 4. Let's save this. Let's run this. Let's pick our C scale and hit submit, C, D, E, because the major scale, like I said, is just the actual whole notes with no sharps. And the next one, come back to the README, we see from the root, which is C, it's 2, 2, 1. So it's a total offset of 5 in the indexes. So we'll come back here. So I'm going to say notes at n type plus 5. Save it. The last time I'll run it, and I'll show you. So run it. Let's pick C major, hit submit, C, D, E, F. Beautiful. And if we go the rest of the way, we end up writing that, because the next note is going to be a whole step, so plus 2, it's going to be a half step plus 1, a whole step plus 2, and a half step plus 1, right? Because we have a whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. I might have misspoke there. So we have a whole step plus 2, half step plus 1, plus 2 whole step, plus 2 whole step, plus 2 whole step, and a half step. So when I save this, and I select major, select C, I have to refresh the page. Major, C, and hit submit. There it is, my scale. Now notice if I pick minor, and I pick A, or if I pick C, let's do that, I still get the same scale. So what's the problem? Well, the problem here is that I'm assuming, remember, I'm starting off by assuming major. So what I want to do now is I want to actually say if, and we know S type tells us the type of scale, and if S type is equivalent to 2, we're going to use 3 equal signs. Now I'm going to rewrite result, but I'm going to put the minor scale in it. So what's the minor scale? Now I'm just going to cut and paste it for this. So I'm going to say result equals, and it's this. So remember, our first index is our note, and then we have, if we come back to this, we have a whole, half, whole, whole, half, whole, whole. And again, this is relative to the root. Whole, half, so that's 2 plus 1 plus 2 plus 2 plus 1 plus 2 plus 2. So I come here, pardon me, and we see the first note is a whole plus 2, and then we add 1 because it's a half plus 3, add 2, 5, add 2, 7, add 1, 8, add 2, 10, add 2, 12. So if I save this now, and I come back here and I run it, and we know that C major, there it is, and the example I gave you was that A major is the same, but starting at A, there's my A major. Oh, I have a little mistake here, because I have sharp. Why is that? Pardon me, that is correct. This is A major. We want A minor, which is the same as C major, and there it is. So I hope this video helped. There's a lot in here, and it's really worth you taking some time and unpacking it. And in our next video, what we're going to do is we're going to actually start to take this information that is now in this list called results, and we're going to start to actually draw some on these keys. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. Have a great day.